Thank you for joining us today. Today, we will have Dr. Michael Barak. He is a senior researcher at the International Institute for Counterterrorism, the ICT, where he serves as the head of the Global Jihad and Palestinian Terrorism Research Desk. Moreover, he is a lecturer at the Lauder School of Government Diplomacy and Strategy at Reichman University, where he is teaching courses on Islamic fundamentalism and global jihad, Palestinian terror organization, Middle Eastern studies, and he's also a senior researcher at the Moshe Dayan Center for Middle East Studies, where he's focusing on modern Egypt, which is a big aspect of his knowledge. And he's published numerous articles on global jihad in modern Egypt and co-authored a book on ISIS. So, Dr. Barak, we are very happy to have you today. It is our pleasure to host you here at ITSS in the Iran desk. And first of all, how are you doing?
Thanks for the invitation. It's very good to be here, and I'm ready.
Okay, thank you so much again, Dr. Barak, for joining us. It is really an immense pleasure to have you on board with us. Let me go straight to the point regarding Iran, and then Shir, my colleague, will ask you questions about Lebanon and Hezbollah. But about Iran, one of the most important things that has been happening is that after what we have witnessed by the Islamic Republic to deteriorate the situation in the Middle East and to expand its arms within the Middle East. Now the same situation is going to happen in Africa. And it is believed that the only reason that the Islamic Republic is allowing Saif al-Adl, head of the Al-Qaeda, for instance, to remain in Iran is because of this, in order to use Al-Qaeda to expand their influence within the African region. How do you see this situation? And years after 9/11, is Al-Qaeda still something that we should be worried about when it comes to the Iranian context?
It's a very good question. Let's say that after the death of Ayman Zawahiri, the links between Iran to the leadership of Al-Qaeda led by Saif al-Adel became stronger. We should remember that the family of Saif al-Adel, Sheikh Saif al-Adel, and his father-of-law are staying in Iran, in Tehran, and it's very important to Tehran to have pressure, leverage on Saif al-Adel by keeping his family in Tehran. Actually, I think it's very important also to mention to the audience that, let's say, 3 weeks ago, Saif al-Adel published a very important article, which is called This is Gaza. This is an existential war and not a border war. And in this article, he mentioned the importance to cooperate with all the factions, the Muslim factions around the world, no matter if it's Sunni or Shia. In other words, he implied that it's very important to cooperate with Iran, although he did not name specifically Iran, but he implied that the cooperation with Iran and the resistance axis is very important to Al-Qaeda if they want to win the war against the West and Israel. Iran actually wants to gain several things, like you mentioned, by that Iran hopes to expand its influence in Africa by the Al-Qaeda branches. Iran is also interested to use Al-Qaeda to launder criminal activity and also terrorist actions against Israel. If I will mention, I think it was in 2022, the Georgian authorities managed to capture an Iranian cell led by one of the IRFG leaders and commanders, and also the rest of the members of this terrorist cell were Pakistani members of Al-Qaeda. This is an example of a cooperation between Iran to Al-Qaeda, that they were trying to target Israeli businessmen in Georgia. Fortunately, the Georgian authorities managed to capture it. So Iran is very comfortable to target Israeli interests around the world and to blame Al-Qaeda that it did it. It's also important to Iran to host Al-Qaeda leadership inside Iran in order to prevent from Al-Qaeda to target Shi'i targets around the world. I think that maybe it's also important to mention that I don't think that Al-Qaeda really exists. It's became a proxy of Iran, and this fact create antagonism and unrest among the members of Al-Qaeda. There is an increasing criticism inside Al-Qaeda against cooperation and collaboration between Iran to Saif al-Adel. So there are several assessments that the branches of Al-Qaeda will not be willing to cooperate anymore or to be part anymore of Al-Qaeda leadership, and they can disengage from Al-Qaeda organization and they can become independent one. We know if you know about Sheikh Abu Muhammad al-Maqdisi, a leading ideologist leader in Jordan, pro-Al-Qaeda. So he emphasized that a leader of Al-Qaeda must live in Afghanistan or in one of the territories of the branches of Al-Qaeda. And no, in no matter, he should not live in Iran. So we see that this criticism sometimes we can see it in the social media networks, also by intelligence agencies that expose this criticism against Al-Qaeda. So I don't think that Al-Qaeda it will be, I don't know, the same one as it was in the time of Ayman Zawahiri. I think that Al-Qaeda has become weaker because of that, because of the cooperation with the Shia. And ISIS, of course, can play on these and get and recruit more people to his ranks because of these links between Al-Qaeda to Iran. Maybe I forgot to mention also that the Iranian regime hopes to exploit the Saif al-Adel connections in Yemen. Iran is the Houthis. We know that the Houthis became a proxy of Iran, so Iran is interested to let's say cultivate the relations between Al-Qaeda in the Arabic Peninsula to the Houthis. We know actually until 2.5 years ago there were clashes between the Houthis and the Al-Aqab, but after that there were not any clashes, and this is a proof that there is an influence of Al-Qaeda leader on the Aqab not to launch attacks against the Houthis. In other words, Iran is trying to stabilize the situation in the Houthi territories and to reconcile, to reach to a reconciliation between Al-Qaeda in Yemen to the Houthis. But now, after the son of Saif al-Adel was sent to Yemen in order to cultivate the relations between Aqab to the Houthis. Now, because after he was targeted, I don't know by whom, maybe by US drone. So now we see that the camp inside Aqab that is against the cooperation between Iran to Al-Qaeda becomes stronger, and we see more publications from Al-Qaeda that criticize the Houthis and the connection to Iran. So I think that the initiative of Saif al-Adel to convert or to turn Aqab to a pro-Iranian actor was failed.
Thank you so much. My second question is regarding the nature of Russo-Iranian cooperation that is going on. During the last days, we witnessed many Russian warplanes with their GPS on, so that the world would know that we are bringing some source of weaponry or defense systems to Iran, have been supporting Tehran and the Islamic Republic regime with weaponry that we still don't know about it. In your opinion, is it possible that Russia would give the Islamic Republic something like the ballistic, the missile Iskander, or do you think they are mostly focused on a defensive approach?
Okay, the honeymoon between Russia to Iran, I think, began in 2010, following the Arab Spring in Syria. Before that, it was a little bit tense and suspicious. But let's say that Iran and Russia, they don't have any options because of the sanctions imposed by United States and the Western world on them. So they collaborate with each other. The war between Russia to Ukraine also led Russia to find other sources of military sources, oil, of course, and they wanted to also to evade from the sanctions that were imposed on Russia. So let's say that Russia, it's a game of Iran gives something to Russia and Russia gives something to Iran in return. So the missiles that you mentioned, I think it's a source of concern because as long as the war in Ukraine longs, Russia needs more weapon, and in order to satisfy Iran, Russia supplied to Iran not only ballistic missiles. I don't think it's only for defensive; it's also for offensive. But also Russia supplies them cyber capabilities and Russian technology. And of course, this is a win-win situation for both countries because they don't have any other options because of the sanctions, because they want to deter the West, not to to turn Ukraine to a Western stronghold, so that they cooperate with each other. And this is something, anyway, a source of concern. Now, yeah, I think that's it, if I answered.
Thank you so much, Shir. We go to you with your questions regarding Hezbollah.
Of course. So now when we're diving into the relations between Iran and Hezbollah, of course, their proxy, I wanted to ask you, we've seen recently that Israel demonstrated significant intelligence, you can say penetration into the high ranks of Hezbollah. We've seen it in the recent countermeasurement that happened in the second one that ranked Fuad Shukr. And I wanted to ask you, over the years, do you think Israel chose not to countermeasure and actually eliminate Nasrallah? Do you think it's a matter of choice? It's a matter of tactical decision? It's a matter of lack of capabilities? Do you think they just Israel just prefers to actually continue with the enemy that they are familiar with and the stable one, quote unquote stable one? What are your opinions in this regard?
Yes, so it's always the question if it's good to make a target killing. Like if it's good to kill a archi-terrorist, can be the advantage, what can be the disadvantage? Actually, Israel was trying to target Nasrallah twice after 2006, after the second Lebanese war. And after that, Israel is not interested, as I see it, and also among in the discourse of the Israeli media and retired intelligence officers from Israeli army and Shin Bet, they all speak that actually Israel has the capability to target Nasrallah every time, and Israel knows where he's hiding, but it's not interested to do that. Why is that? Because from 2006, actually, Israel managed to build equivalent or managed to create games rules. What does it mean? That Nasrallah knows that if he will cross the red line that Israel put, after 7th of October, it was a little bit changed, but Nasrallah knows that if, for example, if he will reach to Haifa, to Tel Aviv, then it means that he breaks the rules. And then this is an open war, and Israel has the rights to target Nasrallah. So right now, let's say that Israel is ready to contain the retaliation actions of Nasrallah, because Israel knows that the enemy, it knows that Nasrallah will not break the rules that Israel put. Israel is not interested to break the rules and to target Nasrallah. I think there is also another fact of, let's assume that now Israel target Nasrallah. Can be the results? It can be, of course, an open war. Iran can join to a war against Israel. Israel doesn't want it now. Israel wants to return the citizens of Israel to the north. It wants to rehabilitate the IDF after 10 months of fighting. So this is not the timing that Israel is interested now. So Israel is now convinced, and if Israel was targeting Nasrallah, you can never know who can replace him. If this guy, let's say a prominent figure in Hezbollah, now can replace Nasrallah, maybe this guy is not familiar with the rules that Nasrallah built during the years with Israel, and this let's say potential leader of Hezbollah is more let's say he is more ready to escalate the situation with Israel. So it's very comfortable to Israel to have relations with Nasrallah because they know each other. It's very comfortable. So the targeting Nasrallah can has negative results for Israel, and Israel is not interested now to do it. Only if Nasrallah will break the rules, striking the civilian population, and will send missile off even to Haifa, Tel Aviv, and also to strategic places in Israel. Then Israel, of course, will declare and want to target him.
Thank you. I think both of us as Israelis also know exactly how it feels to be after October 7th and all the implications. So thank you for your response. I have another question about the fate of Tal al-Hamiyah. So we noticed over the years that Hezbollah has some kind of leadership that is built on a pattern of mentorship. So we had Subhi al-Tufail that mentored Nasrallah. And then we had Nasrallah who mentored Imad Mornia, which Israel allegedly, or not allegedly, killed. Then later on, Mornia had two proteges. One of them was Fuad Shuker, who also recently was eliminated by Israel, but also he had a protege of Tal al-Hamiyah. The question is, in your opinion, is he a valid candidate to maybe lead the organization at some point in the future? Can he be a successor of Nasrallah after the main protege is no longer around to to take the lead and continue the heritage of the organization?
It's a good question. It's difficult to assess if he will succeed Nasrallah. First of all, Nasrallah is very strong. Maybe Nasrallah already cultivated his own candidate. We don't know. But of course, Hamiyah has good potential to replace the one that Israel targeted, Shukri. Shukri is his name?
Fuad Shukur.
Thanks, Shukr. So I think he has good high possibility to replace him. We know that Hamiyah actually is heading the unit of 910, which is responsible on the external operations of Hezbollah. He was the first one to bring to the table of Hezbollah the idea of targeting Israelis abroad. He was also involved. He has a rich records in terrorist actions, not only against Israelis but also against Americans, French. If we take, for example, the terrorist attacks in Lebanon in 1983, then he also was involved in the terrorist attacks in Argentina against the Jewish community. He was very successful in killing Israeli tourists in 2012 in Bulgaria. He also let's say so he has a huge record, and I think it's also important to mention his clan in Lebanon. The Hamiyah clan is very big in south of Lebanon, and it's involved in drug trafficking and weapon trafficking, and some of its members have also links to the IRFG and to Hezbollah. So this is maybe another factor that can contribute to the Hamiyah status inside Hezbollah and the IRFG, and he's also a member of the Jihad Council of Hezbollah. So definitely he has a huge potential to inherit and to be successor of Shukr, the one that Israeli targeted.
Which was also, by the way, was wanted in the U.S. for the same for killing also U.S. U.S.
Right.
Yeah, and French. So
Both of them were mentored by Imad Mourni. Yeah, you're right.
So yeah, and I agree with you about the strong nature of Nasrallah. He's very, very strong figure, especially in his in his own organization Hezbollah, and he's very, very strong. And he's also seems like he's the main character that everyone thinks of when they're thinking of Hezbollah. So it's very hard to be a successor of Nasrallah at the moment. I thank you for sharing.
It's
Thank
maybe I
you
should
so
mention
much.
that Hamas, for example, Yahya Sinwar, nobody knew who is going to replace Ismail Haniyeh, and different names were given, even names that we were not familiar, and now surprisingly Yahya Sinwar was chosen to lead Hamas. Nobody expected that. I think it was kind of surprising.
Thank you so much. And allow me to finally ask you the final question. In your opinion, is Israel's defense policy somehow re-evaluating itself considering the threats that they are receiving? Because before we had the Iran threat, we had the Hamas threat, we had the Hezbollah threat, but now we also have the Houthis. And to be honest, in my opinion, Houthis can bring more problem for Israel because yes, they are weak. Yes, they still do not have the technology, but at the same time, they are the ones who are most unknown to Israel because of the age, let me say it this way, because they are still too young to have operational precedence, and we cannot predict the Houthis. Do you think that Israel's defense policy is somehow reassessing itself in the procedure?
Okay, maybe before I answer to your question, a very important one. The Houthis actually are very similar to the Iranian regime in the matter of that they are fanatics. They want to establish an Islamic state in Yemen. The Houthis in Yemen want to restore a Zaidi imamate and to rehabilitate the power of those imamate that was exist for almost 1,000 years until the civil war in Yemen in 1962. This is a fanatic movement that is being supported by Iran, by Hezbollah, unfortunately also by Russia, because Russia thinks that the Houthis can challenge the Western hegemony in the region, in the Red Sea. We have also to remember the doctrine, the maritime doctrine of Russia from 2022. Russia thinks that Iran is a very important key player in the region and also the Arabic Peninsula, the Gulf states, in order to promote Russia into a maritime superpower in the region. So the Houthis actually help to the Russians to implement their vision to become a superpower in the region. So the Houthis are not active alone. They are having a support from those players that I mentioned. And of course, the Houthis, they are committed, according to that, what they say, to the Palestinian issue. And they also host members from the Palestinian Islamic Jihad in Sana'a, and also a Hamas representative in Sana'a. And they have a warfare, joint warfare, also with Hamas and Hezbollah and the Houthis, and they discuss how to challenge the security of Israel. So the Houthis, of course, are, I think, have a huge threat, not a huge, but they have a threat to Israel because they are being equipped by Iranian technology, maybe also Russian one. For example, they have booby submarines. They have UAV and drones that can, which they are trying to use in order to challenge the security in the Red Sea maritime. They can challenge the Eilat city of Israel, the south city in Israel. They can challenge also maybe the cities near Tel Aviv. We saw that already. We saw the Houthi drone that penetrated to Tel Aviv from Libya, not from Egypt, because Egypt doesn't allow it. They know what will happen if they will violate the Egyptian aerial sphere. So the Houthis, because they are becoming more equipped with more technological weapon from Iran, I think Israel must be aware to these growing threats in Yemen. And in order to cope with these threats, you have several options. I think first off, because it's not only the problem of Israel, it's the problem of the international community, the Arab states, also Egypt and the Gulf states. We saw already that the incomes from Suez Canal decreased a lot because of the Houthi maritime terrorism in the Red Sea. So in order to cope with that, I think that Israel should strengthen the coalition cooperation. United States, UAE, Saudi Arabia, even India, it's very important actor in the region. United Kingdom, Japan. In this matter, I think that Israel, and not only Israel, UAE, for example, they can support the Transitional Council of Southern Yemen. You know that in 2017, the UAE established this entity. It's a pro-UAE, and this Transitional Southern Council already declared that it was ready to fight against the Houthis. Of course, this entity is not very strong, but with the help of the coalition, moderate states in the region, they can fight against the Houthis, and also in order to defend on the borders of Israel, I think that Israel should promote the laser initiative. There is a laser weapon that Israel built. According to the army IDF, it should be active only in the second half of 2025. But right now, because of the war, there are Israeli efforts to accelerate its development and to send it inside the IDF already in the beginning of 2025. And it's very cheap. It's very effective. Maybe not in the rain, but it's more effective, I think, from Iron Dome. So can be a very effective tool to cope with the Houthis. And again, the coalition, again, I am repeat on myself, but the coalition is very important. We need the coalition to monitor the Red Sea, to even maybe to conduct preventive attacks against the Houthis. If now we know that the Houthis are going to attack Israel or the UAE or the Saudi Arabia, this coalition should attack the missiles while they are found on the ground in Yemen. Yeah, this is my assessment.
Thank you so much. Once again, I would like to appreciate you for giving us your availability and your time. And it was really a real pleasure to have you for this podcast. I look forward to inviting you and having you for more programs at ITSS. And thank you again, Dr. Barak.
Thank you, merci. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm saying thank you, Toda, and we appreciate your time. And I couldn't agree more with especially with your recent answer. I couldn't agree more. So thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.